Hello, everybody. So today, this episode is titled One Ship, a Few Horses, but No Jews. Now, I'm sure I got your attention because that's a different kind of a title. Please remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give us a thumbs up, and tell your friends about our channel. So, what is this all about? Well, the year 2021 saw a big surge in anti-Semitic incidents in the United States. According to the Anti-Defamation League, 2021 saw a 34% increase over 2020. And 2022 is probably going to be even more. This is only for the United States, and this only tabulates the incidents that were reported, and only if they were filed as hate crimes against Jews. Needless to say, if we were to take them all into consideration, the number is guaranteed to be higher than 34%. It still seems as if most people remain silent when anti-Semitism takes place, and that bothers me. There is this eerie sense, this eerie feeling of emotional disconnect. Now, there will always be those who speak up against acts of xenophobia and social injustice. But when it comes to anti-Semitism, it still feels like too many people are looking the other way. And you know what? There is a name for such people. They are called bystanders. For whatever reason and whatever justification is offered, those who do not react to acts of anti-Semitism or whitewash them or ignore them altogether are bystanders. And as justified as they might feel that they are, at the end of the day, a bystander always facilitates the crimes of the perpetrators one way or another. Unfortunately, history is replete with events that took place at the expense of the Jews. These were events that show how humanity's warped view of the Jews led some people to completely ignore their plight. Let me give you some examples that I hope we can learn from. Some will remember the Voyage of the St. Louis, which took place in the late 1930s. This ship sailed from Hamburg, Germany on May 13, 1939, with 937 passengers on board. Destination? Cuba. To put this in perspective, this was only 6 months after the pogroms and boycotts of Kristallnacht in Berlin, which took place November 9 and 10 of 1938. And that was the onset of the final solution to the Jewish question, a euphemism for the Holocaust. So this ship only was 6 months after that. Some Jewish people appeared to be seeing the proverbial handwriting on the wall and made arrangements to flee Germany before it was too late. They secured entry papers for Cuba and also at the same time applied for U.S. visas. They were going to stay in Cuba until their papers came through. By May 24th, the ship had arrived in Cuba, but all passengers were denied landing. Their landing certificates had been revoked. They've been invalidated days before they left Hamburg, unbeknownst only to them, but not to the organizers of the journey. What a surprise. The ship waited a while and then was forced to depart. It made it to the U.S. Florida coast, but again, all passengers were denied landing. They even went further north, all the way to Canada, to no avail. They were denied landing again. Eventually, the St. Louis turned around and sailed back to Europe with all passengers on it. France, the Netherlands, Belgium, and England each took about a quarter of the passengers as refugees. At the end, 254 of the passengers perished in the smokestacks of the Holocaust. This was an avoidable tragedy. For the United States, it was about a decade past the Great Depression, and immigration certainly was not a popular topic with the people or within the government, especially on the cusp of another presidential election for FDR. This is understandable, but it's not really understandable, because during a world war, drastic measures should be considered if they are going to save many lives. Unless they're Jewish lives, or so it appears. That was the Voyage of the St. Louis. If you think this was unacceptable, you are not going to like the story of the Bystanders horses. Before we look at what happened to these horses during World War II, we need to recognize their beauty, their elegance, and their rich heritage, a history, a 425-year-old history. These unique horses were developed and bred by the Habsburg monarchy, that's in Austria, going back to the 16th century. They have been associated with the Spanish riding school of Vienna. They can be trained to perform prestigious moves no other horse can do. They are rare and unique and protected animals. So, it is understandable that if their breed runs the risk of extinction, much would be done to prevent that from happening, and rightfully so. Well, in 1945, during the last few months of the war, as the Russian Red Army was pushing towards Germany, the Bystanders horses were in great danger of becoming food rations for starving Russian soldiers. An appeal was eventually made for help. The appeal was made to the United States, and General Patton, who himself was a horseman, was dispatched with a team to rescue the horses and bring them to safety, preserving the breed for the future. Their mission was very successful. Well, at least for the horses and for horse lovers. See, the other side of that coin is that for almost a year prior to that event, various Jewish organizations brought intel into the United States about the horrors of the Nazi Holocaust. They repeatedly pleaded with President Roosevelt to either bomb Auschwitz-Birkenau or at the very least the railroads leading to the camps. The stern and sobering response from the War Department was that such a move would necessitate, and I quote, the diversion of considerable air support essential to the success of our forces now engaged in decisive operations elsewhere. Close quote. The real reason behind the decision not to bomb the area was that FDR, again, did not want to end up with a large number of Jewish refugees on his hands. The United States did indeed divert resources and manpower more than once for various other missions, but never to rescue Jews out of the camps during the war. In the fall of 1944, the United States bombed factories less than 5 miles from the Auschwitz death camps, but chose not to proceed with the destruction of Auschwitz or even the leading railroads. The rescue of horses with a 425-year-old history superseded the rescue of the Jewish people with an almost 6,000-year history. Well, forget the history and just consider that animals were rescued, but human beings were ignored and sent to their death. These two stories are two extreme cases of bystanders in their actions or lack of, sealing the fate of many Jewish people. See, bystanders come in all sizes, shapes, and colors. Sadly, it looks like we are not immune to making the same mistakes again today. So little is being said or done to speak up against acts of antisemitism or injustices against the Jewish people that we could see more tragedies unfold in the United States and all over the world. When the life of an animal becomes more important than the life of a human being, then we should look at ourselves in the mirror, because maybe, just maybe, we are the ones who have become the animals. Shalom.